Good morning, everyone. My name's Tom Connor. We're back on the Custom Build Homes podcast. Thanks for the feedback we got from last week with Jason Orme from Home Building and Renovating magazine. We got lots of comments, lots of messages about what was discussed and the effects of COVID-19. So please keep on sending messages in, keep on reviewing what we put out. We're here to help, and if you can, give us some feedback, and also follow our channels as well. That would be great. Today we're joined by Lauren Innes. Lauren is a custom builder in a way. She's not actually a customer of ours, but she has, her and her family have just almost finished the renovation, extension, conversion, build, redevelopment of a 17th century cottage, just south of Edinburgh. And what we wanted to do today is just get her story, get some insight from her. So Lauren, thanks a lot for coming on. Just quickly, do you want to just introduce yourself, introduce the project, and tell us just a little quick overview of what kind of project you did and why you did it?
So my name's Lauren. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
We decided to purchase this house and try and make it as modern and sort of up to date for us to live in. So it really did mean taking it apart and mostly rebuilding it so that it was up to date and as sustainable as it could be. So it was, as you said, end of 1700s it was built, and we have tried to keep the original house as it is and then extend and build up as well, so that it's got lots of extra rooms and can really work hard for us.
Okay, so tell us, when you first walked into the property, what did it look like? What was it like, size, number of bedrooms, the state of it?
So when we first came to look at the house, the doors didn't actually lock. It was so full of mould and damp, so therefore you could just walk in off of the street and access the house. It looked similar to a rectangle in size, and all of the rooms ran off the one hallway. Again, it was all stepped all the way along, so it wasn't smooth and it was really, really difficult to navigate. It had 2 doors that you could access in, and then you had 3 small bedrooms or living space. It was empty when we moved in, so quite tricky to work out how it was once lived in, but it was very, very damp and in not great state when we found it.
Okay, so a considerable project. How did you come across the land? You know, were you looking for a while? Is it something you've always wanted to do? And how easy was it to find an opportunity?
It was never in my plans to do such a big project. However, I do keep quite a keen interest in, Plot Finder or houses that come up on just the normal market. And it was there that it came up on one of the, ESPC or S1 homes, one of those. So we decided to come and view it.
Yeah.
But no, it was never in my plans to take on such a big commitment. But I think when you see these things, you need to just go with it.
Yeah. Were you aware? I'm aware of where this site is. Were you aware at the time that you purchased it that there was planning for another house in what was the grounds of the old cottage?
No, it wasn't something, unfortunately, that I was even aware that I should be checking. there isn't always an awful lot of information out there to advise you to check these things in advance of buying it. So no, it wasn't something that I had checked in advance.
Yeah, I did think it was that just the estate agent either didn't tell you or chose not to didn't know or chose not to tell you?
Perhaps. There wasn't an awful lot of information up front about the house other than it was for sale and it was needing some modern refurbishment.
To say the least. Okay, so but you did your land search yourself, identified it yourself, and then you took a punt by making an offer without knowing whether you could do what you wanted to the building. Is that right?
Yes, we decided to take the risk, knowing that perhaps we would only have the size of house that was here, and we would simply only be able to renovate that, which was quite a risk.
Yeah. Okay, so the original sort of size, square meterage of the house would have worked, but I get the feeling that from looking at the photos online of your property that it is more of a forever home or certainly a long-term home now. If the original square meterage was to be maintained through the planning system, if the planners had said, no, you can't extend it, you can't go up, you can't go out, do you think that it would be more of a fixer-up job and then potentially look to sell on and find another project?
Yeah, it would have been probably something that we would have lived in while we renovated, perhaps stayed here a few more years, but with the size and the layout that was once there, it really probably wouldn't work for a modern family. It would just be too small and just quite cramped.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the previous owner was, one occupant for I think 90 odd years. So I'm not sure if a modern family with multiple vehicles and whatnot would be suited. So going into the build, who did you use? Like, did you use an architect, project manager, builder? How did you put your team together?
So we did look into architects, spoke to friends and family that had maybe done some work previously and had recommendation. And we were recommended a really fantastic architect that is local to Edinburgh, but also has worked with the council that we would need to use for our planning. So I do feel that massively helped us because he was aware of things that would be allowed that are suitable for the area, and also what would be passed and what would be rejected. So I do think that's massively helped us in order to get quicker planning permission than perhaps it would have been.
Yeah.
Other than that, we didn't really have the knowledge at the time in order to find contractors or companies that could help us really manage the build, the suppliers, the trades, etc. So it has been something we've had to manage and learn really as we went along.
And how was the process of learning? And if you're project managing your own build, it puts a lot of, there's a lot of time you have to put into it. You have to make a lot of decisions in a short period of time. And how comfortable were you doing it? And do you feel more comfortable doing it now than you did at the start, or is it something you've never really enjoyed?
It's something really that does consume you for quite some time while you're doing it. It's really all you live and breathe for a while, whether it's reading magazines or forums, or we spent most of our weekends going to trade shows just to get ideas and learn. So I do feel now I would feel more comfortable doing it now because there's a lot that I know. However, if I could go back, I would use someone that would a contractor that would project manage it to begin with. It's much less stressful.
Yeah, a lot of our customers find getting out the ground, whether it's or if it's a project like yours, kind of taking away what was there down to the original carcass of the house, and then getting wind and watertight on the new roof. That's the part of the build or the provision of utilities and whatnot. They want that taken care of, but once you get inside, they also want an opportunity to go shopping for all the niceties, because that's really, for me, that's where people, yes, the design, I think design is really important, but once the design's established and it's got permission from the planners, it's fixed. Where people make a house into a home is on the inside. And is that something you've enjoyed doing?
Yes, that's definitely the part that I'm quite a visual person. So for me, that was my favorite part of this whole experience, is choosing the stuff that you want to have and really making the home, work as best for you. So choosing everything from, bathrooms to flooring, things that'll make your life much easier.
Yeah, and having a complete blank canvas. You've previously lived in new build properties, is that right?
Yes.
Did you find the blank canvas nature of going out, and you could have, there are a million different options for every single room, which you don't get with new build, and sometimes with a house that you haven't designed, some choices are constrained because you can't have certain things don't fit in rooms and whatever. Did you find the choice overwhelming, or was it something that excited you and you sort of went straight for it?
I think as the build went on, obviously some of it was fairly overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff that you have to commit to before you really know how things are going to look. We had to choose flooring and kitchens in advance of ever living in the house, so you don't really know how or where things should sit. Certain things I did think, because you're slightly restricted in some respects for houses and decor, I did think that was great, that some of the things needed to be chose for you. Mm-hmm. However, no, I didn't find it too overwhelming. We had a lot of time to look into options and to really plan the decor and all the internal stuff, so it made it slightly easier in that respect.
Perfect. So currently we are all in our individual houses, because of coronavirus. Lauren, how do you feel your house, now that you are in the countryside? It's a big property now. How do you feel your house is performing for you under the pressures of coronavirus?
I am really, really grateful for having so much space. A lot of people have said, do you need that many rooms? Like, we don't have children, so there's a lot of spare rooms. So a while back we did decide, let's use some of the rooms rather than have them full of bedrooms. We've made one into a gym, and the one that I'm in today is an office, and we have also converted an attic bedroom into a cinema room.
I've seen this. Very good.
I'm so grateful for those. Being able to use the gym every day is massively helpful for, your mental and physical well-being, but also being able to have the office and be able to work from home and do anything that we need to do. It's made it a lot easier. So I am very grateful.
And how do you think that, if you were in one of your previous homes, how do you think the family life and work life would be suffering right now, where because you're in a property that you're in now, you don't have those pressures?
I guess it's just would be quite difficult. Obviously, we do want to all stay home, but at the same time, you feel you need something to keep you going. So being stuck in perhaps a smaller space where we didn't have an awful lot more than being able to watch the TV or sit on the sofa all day, it would have been more challenging, and not having an at-home office would have made life quite difficult, trying to keep going, keep working, keep motivated.
Lauren, in terms of location, did you want to move out into the countryside, or was it because there wasn't opportunity in more urban areas?
It was never something that was high on my list. I've grown up in the city centre, I work in the city centre, but as you say, it is very built up, so you do need to look a little bit further afield now. But now that I'm here, especially in the current climate, having the space and the fresh air and not being too far away from the city centre is just ideal. So if you can, a little bit further afield does make a difference.
Yeah. Are you aware, Lauren, that in England, people now have a right to build their own home? So
yes,
yeah, but
I have read this.
Yeah, so we don't currently have legislation like it, but I believe the next planning bill will have something that makes it easier, some sort of probably policy framework rather than legislative framework. But we are seeing demand. We keep a register of demand. We've got a roughly 50,000 people on it in England, vast majority in England, but we do operate Scottish registers, and the current climate has caused a peak, has caused a spike in demand, and I think that's probably on the back of people going, this house just isn't suitable to spend this amount of time in and to work from and to exercise from, and it sounds like you're getting all the benefits of exercise and downtime and everything in a house because you've inputted into that design and the creation of it.
Yeah, I would, if people can, I would massively recommend doing this, because you really can do whatever you want that makes your life and downtime work much better for you.
Yeah. Well, just quickly, your house, it's finished structurally. What else have you still got to do? What's still on the?
We have a fair amount of work to continue on with once COVID-19 is hopefully sorted. So we need to do a lot of landscaping and sort driveways and fencing, and it needs a lot of TLC outside of the house to get it fully up and running. We want to get a bit more of a nicer fence that is in keeping with the surrounding cottages. So that's something that I need to mood board and think about and see what we can do with that.
Yeah. And internally, is everything pretty much there?
Mostly. Few bits and pieces. We do have a utility that's half finished and a bathroom that's also half finished. But again, you can close the door on these things and
come back to them later.
Finish them at a later stage.
Yeah. I suppose in one way, you're quite fortunate that your house was habitable before trades and construction work stopped. When did you move in?
We moved in the week before Christmas last year.
Oh, so wow.
Yeah, as soon as we were able to physically get moved in, we moved in.
And if the pandemic struck while you were building, what would have been the consequences to you, to your site, to your living situation, etc.?
I guess we had previously, while building and renovating this house, we also had to rent elsewhere. So I guess while everyone's not able to work, it would pose some challenges being able to run a house that we can't finish and also rent elsewhere. So I am very, very grateful that we managed to get in time, because I know that financially it is probably going to put a lot of pressure on people that are stuck waiting to finish houses, waiting for trades and suppliers and whatnot to be open.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues right now is for people who are building a house that are currently it's not currently practically complete. That if they're using a mortgage, often the mortgage is paid out in stages, and there has to be interim valuations once each stage is completed. So I don't know how you've financed your build, but one of the issues right now is the surveyors aren't able to get out on site to release the next bit of cash. So even if you have materials on order, and even if you're building yourself, the surveyor can't value up the property, the stage, to release the funds, and it's causing people to essentially have to put an indefinite delay on their self-builds. And like you say, there's people who have rental costs or another mortgage that on their existing property, and I think the stress of that must be pretty crazy.
It'll be quite tricky for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it didn't happen to you. It's personally, from knowing the site, I live just down the road, and I knew the house before you got your hands on it. And I think what you've done to it is really, really good. I think that it's in keeping with the original vernacular. You've kept the original stonework on the front. Is that?
We've kept all of the original stonework on the front, and the area that we have added an extension onto, we've used all of the old stone, and we also sourced from a supplier old stone that would be in keeping with the original, to try and keep it as close to how it looked before.
Yeah, I think it's actually very similar to our property at the bottom of the road, where we have the old stone along the front, but in the garden it's very modern. So I think it's been a real success. And overall, are you glad you did it? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I'm so pleased. I think these sort of projects, they just don't come up that often. So when they do, you really just need to take the risk, go for it. Obviously, there has been moments where it's been incredibly stressful, and you wish you hadn't. But to have this space, you just can't buy those sort of houses. You want to buy the plots or buy the space to do it. So yeah, I'm so glad that we did it. And
do you think this will be long-term house, or do you like it so much you might do it again?
Yeah, never say never. I love this house, and we've put a lot of hard work and effort, and my partner's like, I'm never leaving this house. Like, I've put blood, sweat and tears into it. But I think sometimes you do get the bug for these things, so it's not something that I would say no to doing in the future.
Perfect. And there's currently 5,600 people following your build on Instagram.
It's Borough Homes, so it's like Edinburgh _home. So
BURGH_home. Perfect. Yes. And you're welcoming new followers if they listen to this and want to keep up with the house and see more of the house.
Yes, if you're happy to, there's lots of bits from all through the build, internally and externally. So hopefully give some inspiration for maybe people that are either ready to start, mid-build, or even if you just for future inspiration.
Yeah, something we Hester and I see a lot of is, I think there's a huge potential demand for this, but the realities of doing it, there needs to be more people like you that that are honest enough to say, go for it. You won't regret
Yeah.
it.
I think sometimes you need to, there's never an ideal time for these things, and yes, stuff can go wrong. But I think if you're happy to, I would just take the risk.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Lauren, thank you very much for coming on and taking time out your day. Just finally, for people watching, please could you get on Twitter at Custom Build UK, give us a follow, get on Instagram and go to Custom Build Homes, give us a follow, as well as at borough_home to keep up with Lauren's project. And everyone who is currently building, currently living at home, stay safe, stay indoors, and hopefully we can get back to business as normal soon. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.